Music and Booze with Mo is produced and distributed by EatsDrinksTV, a service of the Center for Culinary Culture, home of the Cocktail Collection, and First Reel Entertainment, and is available wherever fine podcasts can be heard. The Center for Culinary Culture, telling the story of food and drink, one taste at a time. Welcome to Music and Booze with Mo. I'm Mo Herms, and I've worked in the music industry most of my life, so have met some pretty amazing musicians over the years. I also love a good cocktail, and I've encountered some really interesting bartenders as well. It seems that there's a lot of crossover, so when I can, I like to talk to musicians and bartenders about music and booze. Join us at the bar, won't you? Music and Booze with Mo is brought to you by Barkeeper, a head shop for cocktail lovers, located at 614 North Hoover Street in Silver Lake, Los Angeles. Stop by for barware, vintage glassware, a carefully curated collection of spirits, and one of the most impressive selections of bitters anywhere. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook for information regarding spirits tastings. That's barkeepersilverlake.com, and also in the Virgil Village neighborhood of Silver Lake, Los Angeles. Welcome to Mo's Tropical Summer. As any regular listener knows, every summer I get to talk with people from all over the world, actually, who work or own bars with a bit of a tropical bent to them, and this summer is no exception. So sit back and relax, mix yourself a drink that has lots of fruit juices, rums, and maybe even an umbrella, and enjoy tropical summer.
This is morning. It's when I spend the most time thinking about what I've given up.
I've been fortunate to spend a lot of time in New Orleans over the course of the last year, and of course I spent time at Latitude 29, which is considered one of the best tiki bars in the world, run by Jeff Berry, who revived so many lost cocktails in that area, the tropical category. But the bar manager there is a wonderful human named Cheyenne, Serene, and I wanted to talk to them about their experience behind that particular bar and just in general. So that's what we did. We met up at a punk rock bar, and then we talked music and booze, and now you get to hear it.
It's going. All right, so your job now is to introduce yourself and where you work and stuff like that.
Cheyenne, Serene. I, they, them. Queer,
to the max.
to the max. Non-binary brown person who is the bar manager, associate manager over at Latitude 29.
And how long have you been at Latitude?
Just over 2 years now. Yeah.
But how long have you been bartending?
Oh God,
right?
Close to a decade.
Yeah.
Coming up on it, I think. Yeah.
What was your first bartending gig?
It was at a shitty but amazing dive bar in Chicago called, what was it? I think it was High Dive.
That sounds familiar to me for some reason.
Here's the thing. There's a High Dive in every single city I think I've visited. There's always a High Dive.
A friend of mine lived in Chicago for a long time, and she worked at two bars. I want to say Double Door is one.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other one was Metro, so that was music venue.
Metro, yeah. Totally. Love the Metro.
She's a Double Door, but I know my first time in Chicago, she came out and met me and was like, we're going to do the bars. The 2 a.m. bars, the 4 a.m. bars, the 6 a.m. bars.
Yes.
And it was like 3 nights of that. And I'm like, how am I going to live through this?
Chicago is a different beast. I mean, moving down here, I was like, well, okay, so Chicago.
I was like, they're 2 different kinds of beasts, but they're both beasts.
Yes, exactly. They're both beasts, 100%. But moving,
I would think Chicago's like a faster kind of beast.
Exactly.
Right.
I always describe it to people. I'm like, in Chicago, you know, you have the bars that close at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. and then on the weekends, like Fridays and Saturdays, they're allowed to stay open an hour later, so 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. And so if you're industry, it's a sprint, right? You get off of work and you have to get there before the bars close.
Yep.
New Orleans is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You have to pace yourself. You can come to a 24-hour bar. You can watch the sunrise as you're still drinking in a bar. And you just have to pace yourself. It's very different, but they will both get you in the end.
Yeah, well, I feel like New Orleans, more so than Chicago, allows the vices to flourish.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, there's no judgment here. If you've got a vice here, people are like, you do you. And if you do you means dying in an alley, that's you.
That's you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, not only does New Orleans allow the vices to flourish, you have camaraderie around your vices.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Absolutely.
Like, there's always somebody who is like arm in arm with you, like dying in that alley with you.
So the dive bar in Chicago, that was where you got started. What was that experience like for you?
Oh man, it was a beer and shot bar.
Yeah.
You know, you're cracking beers, you're pouring shots. We had, I mean, this was when whiskey was having its sort of heyday.
The renaissance of whiskey, right?
Yes,
gone away
exactly.
and it's coming back, and everybody and their mom was suddenly...
Everyone was just like, oh,
knew
whiskey,
everything about whiskey.
Bourbon, yes. So the entire, you know, we had like 40 different whiskeys or whatever.
Well, that doesn't sound terribly divey. Oh,
you would think.
They raised the eyebrows. You should see the whiskey that we had.
I mean, sure, we had the high-end stuff, and we had... The point is, the whiskey was available. If you wanted to drink the high end, if you wanted to drink the low end, it was all there and available. But, you know, we also had, like, I worked at High Dive, and the sister bar was Rocking Horse. And Rocking Horse, I think, had 16 taps, which also doesn't sound like a dive bar, right?
No. But
it's a dive bar. At the end of the day, you're cracking beers, you're pouring pints, and you're pouring shots of whiskey down people's throats. And that's it. Yeah. I remember one of my first true bartending shifts without anybody behind the bar with me to like kind of guide me was at Rocking Horse, actually. And I was with a dear friend, Turk, and Turk was bartending with me, and I think he was doing something. I think he might have been like peeling an orange swath, which is weird because we had like maybe 3 cocktails.
Would you do that?
Yeah, why would you do that? Anyway, this motherfucker like sliced off like the end of his finger.
Oh.
And thank God the owners happened to be there. And so they took him to the hospital, and they were just like, cool.
Keep going.
Go. Like yeah, now you're this is you.
Now.
Yeah, this is you.
And you're just like, so anyway.
And so I'm like,
popping bottles.
I mean, I'm literally just like pouring beer. And then at one point in the middle of the shift, I had this random customer be like, can I have an old fashioned?
Oh no.
And I'm like, sure. You do the thing where you turn around and you like, yeah, definitely. Like, Google old fashioned, how to, you know, I'm like fucking 22 or 23. I'm like, what? I pulled it off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, at least that's an easy one, right?
Yeah,
not
right?
Like what you're doing now over
it's not like hey, can I have a hurricane, Mai Tai?
Yeah, right.
Any of that.
And in a dive bar, that's when you just kind of go, you get what you get.
Absolutely.
So when did you start getting a little more complex? You started moving up eventually.
Yeah, so I was also working at this spot. This is, when I was younger, I like, again, like almost a decade ago, I was known for always always having like 2 or 3 jobs at once.
Well,
So I'm working like 2 different dive bars.
That's most people, honestly.
I mean,
I'm
yeah.
older than you, and I still have like 3 different jobs.
Yeah.
And one main one, and then a couple side hustles.
Exactly.
Right?
That's just what you do. And even now, you know, I'm bar managing over here, and I'm always working on side projects and side things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was working at a place called the Winchester in Chicago, and they're closed now. They've been closed for a while, but I had this lovely mentor named Jess, and she was the one who actually started like slowly teaching me like cocktail builds and like the proper way to shake and pour and things like that.
Yeah.
But I also came up and, you know, I've been in the service industry since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I came up in coffee. So it's like a really hardcore barista.
It's so interesting because in the last year and a half, I've learned from doing this podcast how having those skills translates really well into cocktail
So,
skills.
I mean,
so
I
wild.
look at resumes and I'm like, oh, you're a barista? Cool.
Yeah, it was something I don't drink coffee. It's just,
Yeah.
I love the smell, I hate the taste.
Fair.
So it's something I just never really thought about.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to me that just keeps coming up, that there are these skill sets behind like just the nuances of putting these things
They
together.
compare so well in terms of like attention to detail, recipe building, service, all of the above.
Yeah.
Like it
Just a slightly different medium.
exactly. Truly, it is.
I mean, this one gets you high, the other one gets you drunk.
I mean, the only reason I switched was because I'm not a morning person. I'm like,
So
okay,
legit.
I do the same thing, but it fits my own cycle, my own sleep
You were
cycle
like,
better.
wait a minute, I know how to make this work better. Yeah, it's
And obviously a little
fun.
bit more money.
Yeah, that too. So you were at Winchester and you started crafting for the first time, and were you
Yes.
like, oh, this is kind did it reawaken those barista?
It did. I mean, I was also, so the Winchester was a type of spot where we did brunch on the weekends, and that means we also had a full coffee program. So I got into it through that. So I was working through the coffee program there, and I would also start working at nights and learning the cocktail builds. And Jess was a lovely teacher, and we worked together just like crafting. She just taught me how to properly make classics, and she would do different things and be like, oh, this is why I do it this way, and I am putting a twist on this classic because it tastes better like this. Yeah.
So then, okay, so you're doing that, and then when did you start getting a chance to do your own? You know, when did that happen?
Not until I moved down here.
Okay.
So that
what brought you
was-
to New Orleans?
Oh,
that sounds like a relationship.
actually, no.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Half the time it's like, oh, I followed somebody down and that didn't work out, and I'm stuck
Actually,
here.
no,
you know?
I did not follow anybody down. I had
Excellent.
visited New Orleans many times before I moved down here, and I just kept making friends down here, and I would have friends come up to stay with me. I would like come down here and stay with the friends that I had met down here, and I got sick of the winters in Chicago.
Understandable. You're like, oh, no more negative 20 wind chill whipping through me. Yeah.
I was also a bike courier while I was up there.
Oh, wow.
So I would ride my bike like all year round.
You had like the plastic bags over your hands. So
Oh,
that,
I invested in all. I
Yeah.
would like double gloves. Like
Oh, God.
I would wear ski goggles when it was snowing,
Oh, my
and
God.
neoprene mask, and
wow, that's like, that's, that is really amazing that you could do that. I never hoped to achieve that kind of tolerance.
it was the best shape I've ever been in my life.
Well, yeah, there's that.
But only so long could I do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to get down to some warm weather.
Yeah.
Just need to do that. I
So
need
how long
some
have you been here
greenery.
in New Orleans then?
6.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, coming up on 7.
So I'm sure coming down here was probably pretty easy to crack into hospitality because this
Oh,
city
yeah.
is built on it.
Definitely, yeah.
So what was your first gig here?
The Ace Hotel.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Ah, that's funny. I have friends that work over there, but I hear mixed things about it. We don't need to get into that.
Yeah, we don't need to get into all
Yeah.
that.
Because you were at the Ace and kind of moved your way. And then you moved your way out of the Ace.
Yes, I moved my way out of the Ace. I worked at, I kind of split I worked at the Ace Hotel. I also worked at that dive bar over on St. Bernard, Sydney's Saloon for a hot second. Bakery bar for a minute. And then it's so funny saying that I've been here 6.5 years because I feel like for almost half of that, at this point, the world sort of imploded.
It did.
Yeah.
I mean, it did. We're only just, it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And
that's like half my
hit,
time.
Yeah, and you got hit here in New Orleans really, really hard.
We got hit
really hard. I was one of the first epicenters in the States, I think, right?
Yeah.
I have a friend who's a nurse here. She was like a month into it and she was out, you know,
Yeah.
for like, she got over it pretty quickly, but yeah, so
It was rough.
basically you were like building up and then shutting down.
Exactly.
And you would start again. So when did you start at Latitude? Was that post-COVID?
It was post-COVID. It was April 1st of 2021.
April Fool's Day.
Yeah, it was funny. I was like, April 1st is my starting date. It would be hilarious if I were to come in and they were like, April Fool's.
So now that is working at a tiki bar.
Yeah.
Like a classically designed, old school tiki bar.
Yes.
Run by Jeff Berry, who people know is like the guy who
man
brought
himself.
all those drinks back from
Yes.
the dead. Intimidating at all?
A little bit, yes.
Had you done those kind of drinks before?
I had never done tiki before.
Uh-huh.
I came up pretty heavy, even just at the Ace Hotel, like learning how to create cocktails and learning how to do high volume and learning all of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But tiki is a different beast.
It really is. And I think one thing that's got to be kind of great for you there is that it's a controlled environment there.
Yes.
There's only so many people in there at one time. So, and I would hope that people would come there would understand a little bit. A lot of them are destination people, and they know
Absolutely.
that a tiki drink is not a rum and coke.
Exactly. For the most part, yeah. And I love that we're kind of tucked away a little bit. Like, you kind of have to know that we're there.
Yeah.
But then the other side of that is we are like sharing that space with the hotel, and so we do get the hotel guests occasionally. But for the most part, I was really excited to start working at Latitude because it was another level. Like I could learn more, expand my knowledge, expand my toolkit, so to speak. And
I mean, tiki cocktails were, I think, and I've said this many times on the podcast, the first craft cocktail, really, because there's so much involved.
Yes.
You don't pre-pour those.
No.
It does not work. You pre-pour that. You have to pay attention. There's multiple ingredients.
Yes.
I mean, all of this. Whereas, up until that point, there's maybe 3 ingredient drinks.
of course,
And then you get, Don Beach, who's like, there's like 18 things in here. What do you think about that, motherfucker? And now you're in that world.
Yeah, exactly. But I kind of love it. It like is opened up my creativity, I think,
Yeah.
because now I'm like, oh, if I'm creating a cocktail, it doesn't have to be just like 3 or 4 ingredients. Like I can. It's not weird if I put like 2 drops of something in this or a teaspoon of something in this cocktail. Like it's not weird. This is like, it just like opens up your world in terms of creativity, which I love.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. To me, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot there.
It's so much.
But if you've got that mad scientist gene, then I guess you found your place,
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've been there, started in 2021, so you've been there for like 2.5 years. You didn't start as bar manager though, did you?
No.
You couldn't have. I'm like, not in that place.
I assumed the bar manager late last year, I believe, like November, December, something like that.
Yeah.
And that just comes with a lot of different admin office boring stuff, you know.
But you're still back there behind the bar.
Oh,
which is the fun stuff.
every time I'm there.
So
yes.
once you started working very much in that capacity, what was a favorite tiki drink that came your way? Maybe there's a couple. I don't want to ask you to pick children or anything. I mean, it's a whole new world of discovery there.
Everyone always asks me what my favorite drink is.
What your favorite tiki drink is?
Yes.
It's just like when people come in and, and they're like,
yeah.
what do you think I should get?
And I'm like, it doesn't matter what I think. What matters
It's what you like. Yeah, totally. But that's why now I can ask you what you like.
Yeah, truly, I love a Mai Tai. Like, I know it's cliche and everything, but it's like...
It's a perfect drink.
It's a perfect
when it's
fucking
done right,
drink.
it's a perfect drink.
Exactly.
I mean, I love a daiquiri when I go to any bar.
Oh, sure.
I always want to get a daiquiri,
Absolutely.
right? And I remember talking to Jeff once about how he said it took him however many months to perfect his rum blend for his daiquiri, and I'm like, dude,
that's
don't ruin it for me. Come on. But
the thing with a daiquiri is like you can go to multiple different cocktail bars and get a daiquiri,
and they'll be different.
And they'll be different, and you can also change up whatever daiquiri you want. You can get like something with a really funky agricole. You can
totally,
like, you know,
totally.
But a Mai Tai is just like
it's classic. There's a standard there.
Yes,
you know.
God,
and I think when I was there last Saturday, I met up with Jeff and Anine, and I couldn't decide. I'm looking at the menu. What do I want? What do I want? I'm like, you know what? Let's get Mai Tai.
Yes, that's right. And I made you a Mai Tai.
I'm like, oh, let's get Mai Tai. Let's give me Mai Tai. when they're well done. That is why even in our dry LA summers, I keep my mint going.
Yes.
For those Mai Tais.
Just for those Mai Tais.
Totally. So I'm guessing when you came to Latitude, you also like learned way more about rum than you ever could have expected to learn.
You have no idea.
I have like an eighth of an idea. You know, I mean, I've got some major rum friends in that world. So.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So what have you discovered in the rum category?
Well, you know, I came into Latitude and I had a fair understanding of like most spirits, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I got just kind of dumped into rum. And rum has...
It's an insane category.
It's insane. There's no real like...
They don't end.
Laws. There's no like appellation. There's nothing like that. So rum is just... whatever.
Wild West or Wild
It's the wild
or Wild South
wild
or
South,
Wild whatever.
Wild
It's
South,
wild
maybe?
everything, yeah.
But I always love it when people come in and they're like, I'm not really a rum person, and I'm like, bet. I'll find you a rum you like.
Yeah.
There's always, that's what I love about rum, is that it's so diverse, and there is always somebody who says they don't like rum, and out of the hundreds of different rums out there, thousands, whatever, I'm like,
I had somebody school me on gin like that.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I don't know about gin. And they're like, let me find it for you. It's there. It's that same thing. It's such a huge category. But you know, rum is just bonkers and just keeps coming. They both keep coming, but rum just keeps coming.
It just is.
There's such a diversity of palates in there. Yeah, exactly. That's why when people ask me, they're like, oh, why is this tiki drink got 3 different rums in it? And I'm all, well, each one has a different property to it.
Exactly.
And then when you blend them together, it makes magic.
Yes.
If you can figure that out, which I can't. I trust the professionals like yourself. So I'm like, meh. So have you been able to get a drink on the menu? I know you're working on things because we tried something the other day.
Yes. I don't have one on the current menu, but I do have, we just launched our happy hour. Excuse me, happy hour and a half. From 4 to 5:30. And I have 3 drinks on that menu.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. I'm really happy about them.
I was gonna say it's gotta be stiff competition over there.
I mean, we have so much talent over there. Everyone is just like cream of the crop, like very like exceptional in terms of palate, in terms of skill, technique, all of that. So
like,
I'm really happy with that menu.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So great.
Do you want to get down? Or what you gonna do? Get your back up off the wall. Dance, come on.
Get down on it. Get down on it. While you're dancing. Get down on it.
This is about music as well.
Yes.
So we gotta talk about music.
Of course.
So I have to ask you, do you play any music? Have you ever played music? I mean, I don't. I just love it. Yeah.
So
that
I
means you're a
tried when
nerd
I was
about
like
music.
14.
What did you try to play?
Oh, like electric guitar, like every like 2000s,
I was trying to play guitar.
90s kid, like
I can plunk around on it. I can play a thing here or there that's passable,
yeah.
but not really.
I actually, you know what? A few years ago, I picked up a ukulele, and that was sort of like, I kind of really like that. So I'm like very,
Hey, Taylor
I'm not
Swift
great.
plays ukulele.
I love me some Taylor Swift.
It shows up all the time, that ukulele. So then you're a nerd, which I even more appreciate. Did you ever spend any time DJing or anything like that either?
No.
You were just like regular music nerd.
Regular music nerd.
But you're in New Orleans, which I think you have to be a music person to live here.
I think you kind of have to.
Because the city is like constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly.
I mean, you're just like steeped in music at all times.
Absolutely. So,
I mean, you can't
all right,
escape it.
walk me through your music. What was your
Okay.
first concert?
So, my dad actually was he was one of the roadies. He was like the sound manager for Kool and the Gang back in the day.
What?
So that was my first
my
concert.
God.
I was like fucking 5 or 6 years old
That's
probably.
amazing.
I've been to so many Kool and the Gang concerts when I was a kid.
That is so rad.
Yeah.
That is so rad. Was your dad like? Was that his career?
He was a sound engineer. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
God, so you probably got to work with some really interesting people.
He worked with so many different people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
The only one you remember meeting that was Kool in the Gang.
yeah, Kool and the Gang was like that was like when I was a kid. He worked with them for the longest time. Like he would go on tour with them and stuff. Yeah.
You must have some nice memories from that.
Yeah, I mean, some great. It was just wild, like being like, 6 years old up at like midnight, and it's like so far past your bedtime, and you're at a cool concert and stuff.
Do you
Like.
remember what your favorite song was when you were a kid from them?
God,
Because you had to have loved. I mean, and you were so young too. It was like
Yeah.
old people music by then.
Oh yeah, it was just like. But you still jammed out to it all the time.
So you're like 6 years old and you're singing Kool and the Gang. And your friends were like, "What?"
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to remember what song you loved. For me, I was like a child of the '80s, so
Sure.
it was on the radio and it was like we
Right.
all knew the songs
Right.
and everything.
What's my favorite Kool and the Gang song? I can't even remember the name. How did it go?
You're gonna have to sing it.
No.
Yes, yes. I worked in a record store. This was my favorite part when people would
Which
come
one?
in. I used to work in a record store, and when people would come in and be like, "Do you know this song? It kind of say this," and I'm like,
I have to look
hum
up
it
the
for me.
name.
Sing it for me. And they're like,
Okay.
"Oh."
I
And
got
then
this.
they would sing it, and we just stand there and be like, "Sing a little more." But usually we could figure it out.
Get down on it.
Oh yeah,
That
that's
was
a good
it.
song.
That was it. Get down on it.
If you really want it.
Yeah.
See, you sang it. We know.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, then after that, what was your did you stay in that kind of funk zone for yourself as a kid?
No, I mean,
Then you got all emo.
Oh, yeah. Pop punk emo was like my jam.
That's so like 90s, 2000s.
I know. Like I'm just like
Perfect.
classic.
Yeah, no, but those songs, I mean, they're emo for a reason. It's like you hear those
It's
songs
true.
and everyone was just like feeling it, and you would still rock.
Yes. I mean,
For all the mockery it gets, at the same time, I'm just like, there's a lot of heart in those songs.
Yes,
There's
and
so
it
much
was.
heart.
There's a reason that like people loved it, and there's a reason that like us 30-somethings still like rock
yeah.
out to it.
Well, I mean, if you go back classically in all history, what was like the blues when they came out? The blues is always like, my baby left me,
Yeah.
you know, I done wrong, whatever. Then you get to the 50s and it's girls singing about the boy that doesn't like them back.
Of course.
And, you know, so it's the same
It
thread.
it's in the same vein. Absolutely.
So what were you obsessed with then?
My pop punk emo days?
Yeah, when you wanted to play guitar, why did you want to play guitar?
Oh, God.
Because that was why. It was one of those bands.
Probably anything that Andrew McMahon ever did, like Something Corporate, Jack's Mannequin, like all of that.
Is
Like,
Andrew McMahon playing?
yeah, he's gonna be at the Joy.
I was gonna say, I feel like I saw a sign somewhere, and I was just like, oh, are you going?
I think I might. Yeah. He came into Latitude a few months ago.
What?
He came into Latitude a few months. He drinks Smith and Cross daiquiris.
Ooh. Wow. Okay. So he likes a
Yeah.
little funk.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Right? I never would have expected
So,
that.
did you serve him?
I did.
And how was that for you?
He was such a sweetheart.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you say anything?
Yeah, I mean, they were there for a couple of hours. He was there with his whole crew and
Entourage,
stuff. Yeah. And it was a quiet day, and I dropped the check, and I was like, just so you know, I've been listening to your music for over a decade.
Oh.
This has been, no, honestly, like
Probably more than that.
more than that, like
Yeah.
probably 15, 16
Yeah.
years I've been listening to his music.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's been a pleasure.
Aww.
Yeah,
That was
he
pretty
was
much
such
it.
a
You held back
sweetheart.
until the end.
Oh yeah, I held back like till the very end when I knew they were walking out the door, and I was just like, just so you know, thank you.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's wonderful. Oh my God, you must have been just like behind the bar, just dying.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I know I met one of my musical heroes, and when he'd come into the record store I worked at, I actually hyperventilated when it was brought to my attention that he was in the store. And I was just like, and I was dating a guy at the store at the time, and he was like, what happened? Because someone had intercomed me to say, so-and-so's in the store. And I was like, and I totally lost my shit, and I had no idea I was going to do that. And I'm like, turning around, and my friend, or my boyfriend at the time, thought that someone had texted me and said somebody died or somebody like this because of the way I reacted, and I'm like, and then he was like, oh, okay, well I guess, all right, just,
Okay.
can I get you some water or something? I'm like,
Yeah. Do you need to lie down for a moment?
and I did go up and say something to them too. I
Good.
walked up, they were flipping through records. I'm like, hey, I work at the info desk. If you need any help, I'll be right there. And they were like, well, thank you so much. I'm like, thanks, bye. And I just walked away like, you know. It's too funny. Well, that's
God, I
wonderful
love
that
it.
it was so nice.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so special. What is your favorite song that he's done? There's
Oh,
too many.
There's too many. They're still like on repeat in my like playlist.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah, I
so
can't.
awesome.
There's so many.
So what is it now that you're listening to?
So now
I mean, he's still making music, but
of course, yes. Now I mostly listen to music is like interesting for me because I always use music to like motivate myself or like inspire myself like creatively.
Yeah.
So I listen to music when I need a focus and I'm like reading or I need to like focus on like working or making cocktails or whatever. And that music is strictly video game soundtracks.
Really?
Yes.
Your focus music is.
My focus music is.
You just got me thinking of like the Lo-Fi Girl, you know,
Yes,
and all that.
that is also in that rotation.
Right,
Lo-fi
you know, that
girl.
kind of the Lo-Fi Girl
Yes.
beat stuff and everything, and so much of that.
I
mean,
love all of that stuff.
Right, and it always cracks me up that and now there's the boy. There's a boy now.
What?
Oh shoot, I'm forgetting what he is.
Is there really?
There's a boy with a dog. He's like a little dog, and he's like across the window from her. They did a whole thing. I'll
No
find it and send it
way.
to you. There was a whole thing where she disappeared for a while from the window.
Oh, I missed all of this.
It was like 2 months ago or something, and they've introduced another, and it's something boy. I'll find out for you. and
Okay,
send it to
yes,
you.
I need to know.
But
Because I always put the Lo-Fi Girl
just leave that
soundtrack on.
Yeah, right?
But yeah, Skyrim soundtrack for sure. Skyrim.
Are you a gamer?
A little
bit.
I got into
You
it
listen to
during the
music?
pandemic.
Oh, yeah. That
Yeah.
happens to a lot of people. So you listen to it more than you play it.
I do, but I do have. I play a little bit.
But you know, the video game soundtracks are like, video games are more profitable than movies,
Yeah.
and the soundtracks like launch careers.
I mean, they are literally built to help you get in the zone
Yeah.
and focus, which
Yeah.
is why I put them on when I need to focus.
it's so interesting because like the Lo-Fi Girl stuff, all of this stuff, it's like in the last decade, I mean, I listened to music when I was studying. I did all this stuff, but I don't remember ever. I just put on the radio or put on whatever, and it was just on.
Yeah.
And now there's so much focus on. I mean, there are kids listening to classical music, like certain kinds of classical music, because it helps them focus.
Right.
So there's all these focus playlists, study playlists,
Yes.
all that kind of stuff, and
That show's my jam.
so amazed by it. So you don't know like necessarily artists within that. It's just
I
kind
don't.
Of like,
I'm just like Skyrim playlist.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So then, okay, so if you're working on tiki cocktails,
yes.
is it like gamer stuff?
Typically I'll put on like maybe some lo-fi stuff. Skyrim Stardew Valley is a huge one for me.
That's so amazing. Well, and the reason I ask that is because the music that's associated with tiki, like exotica music,
Oh, absolutely.
is this kind of like, you know, middle range kind of, it's supposed to be setting a mood, it's relaxing, it's,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know, I could see that working in that capacity because it's not abrasive,
Right.
it's steady.
I also just can't.
Sometimes there's birds screaming at you though.
True.
You're like, whoa, what?
Like, what's happening? Fair.
For the most part, it's okay, and then all of a sudden somebody
Like,
caws.
yeah.
You're like, what?
Just takes you out of the
Totally.
moment. Well, that's why I can't listen to, when I'm trying to focus anyway, I can't listen to anything with
Lyrics.
words
Yeah.
because I just like get
It's
so
distracting.
caught up in like,
Yeah, well, if you like emo stuff, I'm the same way. Like, I mean, I find it, I have to have stuff on. I mean, like in the 90s, it was like trip hop, right? Because it had that beat. It still had that kind of like steady beat. And there were words to it and everything, but it was such soothing vocals.
Right, yeah.
You know, for the most part, there was nothing kind of to jar you. Or
Right.
anything. So that was kind of the thing then. It's
Yeah.
similar. It's like, just take those vocals out and you've got lo-fi.
oh, absolutely.
I mean, basically.
For sure.
It's all the same thing. And so I completely see that because if I've got something on, like I'm listening to my like indie rock stuff, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, is she singing about a girl? Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, I need to make a note of this.
Right,
You
like,
know,
I need to,
I'm
like, write this
oh, I need to
down,
do
I need
this.
to, like,
yeah.
yes,
I have to
same.
remember this for that. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I was working.
Wait, no,
Hold
I need to do this.
on.
Well, I think that it's funny because when I was a bike courier in Chicago, completely different music that I listened to.
Yeah.
Because I needed to focus, but I also,
But you also
needed to
go
like
fast.
go fast, and I needed to go fast in negative 20-degree weather while it was snowing. So that was a lot of like heavy metal and
Yeah.
like punk
I was going to say, that sounds like it would be
and
like
just,
aggro kind of stuff.
Just, yeah, oh,
I
absolutely.
had a personal trainer at the gym like a decade ago, and when for himself, I was like, well, what do you listen to when you're working out? And he's like, oh, gangster rap.
Oh, yeah,
He's this
absolutely.
like tall black guy from Cincinnati, and he's like nothing but gangster rap.
Oh,
he's
for
like, because then
sure.
it's like gets me all like.
Yeah, all of that was in the rotation.
Yep.
All of it. But yeah, I was definitely a heavy metal fiend for a while there. It was
So
just
then,
like,
kind of like the off question: I don't know if you aspire to having your own bar one day.
I don't know.
It's a lot.
I don't know either.
It's a lot. But say somebody just said, "Here you go. Here's a bar." What would you do? What would your bar concept be?
Well,
No
that question, that
limitations.
answer is going to probably change if you
Of
ask
course.
me again in half an hour, even. But at this moment,
there's
right
so many
now,
ideas,
I mean,
right?
there's so many. Have
But
you ever been
today-
to Delilah's in Chicago?
No, I've been to Chicago, back to Chicago in many years.
Delilah's is this incredible, like, heavy metal, like, punk rock bar. And it is a dive bar, but as in, it's Chicago, it's an old,
Yeah.
it has whiskey.
Yeah.
So many whiskeys. I'm talking, like, just every single
Bit
square
of open
inch
space is whiskey.
is whiskey. Like, there'd be whiskeys like stacked above there. There's like over the fridge. There's like dusty bottles like collected in like nooks and crannies all over the bar. They have one of the largest whiskey collections I think I've seen
Like
in a
ever.
It's insane. And I just always loved going to that bar because there's always like some like heavy metal or like fucking heavy punk going on, and everyone there is just like a sweetheart, and you can just like order your whiskey, order a shot of whiskey, any whiskey you want. They got it.
Yeah.
Skewer, they'll pull it up, dust it off, and pour it for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe something like that.
It sounds like you like the community of bars. Too.
I do. That's
You know.
has always been what's drawn me. I guess it comes with being in the industry as long as I've been in it. Like
I mean,
the
well, that's
community.
why I got into it.
Yeah.
Was because I was just an enthusiast, as they like to say. I liked going to bars, but I didn't like going to bars to get wasted. I liked going to bars
It's
for
a
that
social.
camaraderie.
Yeah.
The social side of it. Just sitting there. It's not like I did meet my husband in a bar, but that wasn't supposed to be the case. But it was just kind of like, I just like the vibe. You know, at most bars, they're friendly. You can just hang out. There's no expectations on anybody or anything. If there were, that wasn't my kind of bar. You know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a part of that too, and I really liked that.
I love bars that like I can go to. Like I walk in here and I know the bartender, I know the people here, and I can still put my headphones in and like read a book if I want to.
And no one's gonna be like,
And no one's gonna be
You need to get a drink. What are you doing here? You're taking up space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I can also walk in and be like, hey, let's hang out, let's talk. And I love bars that are whatever you need them to be for you at that moment.
That's something too, and I don't know how much you've seen it because the particular tiki bar you work at is very much a destination too. So I don't know if that allows for that same kind of community vibe that some tiki bars are able to have. There are definitely people I know who go there and hang out there for sure. The super nerds.
Super nerds, you've seen them.
But it's a little bit of a different thing there.
It is.
But there is a tiki community.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
in itself. So this is
Yeah.
like kind of an offshoot of that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've experienced some of that while you've been there.
The bar where Latitude 29 is a very like. It's probably the most unique place I've ever worked.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because again, you get the tiki nerds.
Yeah.
You get the people, you know, we get like industry people. Like Christoph, Christoph will come in with his girlfriend and be like, hang out and chill and like have a couple of drinks.
Yeah, because it's very well respected by the industry as well, like around the world.
I mean, when my days off, I go into, you know, all of my favorite cocktail bars, you know. So I love seeing industry people come in.
Yeah.
And that's always like a refresher. And then you get the nerds who are like, let me show you my basement tiki bar.
Yeah. Which is really amazing as well. It's just like, wow, that's beautiful. And then you wish you had a little paradise in your house. Turn my closet into this. It's a little escape
My
room.
paradise at my house is my couch, my cat, and a bottle of beer.
There you go. Well, that's, as you know, because you've heard the podcast, I always got to ask, when you're at home, what are you drinking? What are you listening to? What kind of cat?
Oh, I have 2 cats right now.
Yeah.
I have a cat that I've had for almost as long as I've been here. His name is Now.
Now?
Now, like now and later. Now.
That's awesome.
He is an old, fat sweetheart.
Aw, yay.
And I usually am drinking. This is
typical
This is
bartender
what it
talk.
is. Yeah, I know, it's true.
When you're not working, people are just drinking Coors or something.
Yeah, Miller Lite.
Yep.
I always have a handle of vodka in the freezer. Pour myself like a vodka and like lemonade or vodka and like
for those hot days.
Oh yeah,
Well, that's just like
exactly.
80% of the year here.
Somebody was complaining about the heat the other day, and I'm like, you know, we're still in spring.
I know. It's like, do you know where you are? And just when I think yesterday and today when I was walking, I'm like, oh, I've got this sweaty lip now. Ah, the humidity has finally gotten to us.
There you go.
When I first got here, first week or so, it was nice. It was 80, but it was still dry.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was like, oh, this is tolerable. I'm like,
then it starts.
here it comes.
There
Here
it
it comes. So what are you listening to with that High Life and shot of vodka? That also depends,
Okay.
huh?
It does depend, but my go-tos at home, my favorite band of all time, Foxy Shazam.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's my favorite band of all time.
Well, they've got some gems, but I love that they're your favorite band of all time because I would not think about that at
That
all.
glam rock is just,
Totally
it just gets
fun.
me. I swear to God, Erica's like a reincarnation of Freddie Mercury or some shit. Like, it's wild.
With the same sense of humor, really.
Oh, it's really.
That's awesome. Okay, well, that's probably a good place to wrap it up. I'm just thinking of cats now because Freddie Mercury loved his cats. You love your cats, Foxy
Yes.
Shazam. And I'm here because I cat sit. That's why I get to come out here so much.
Oh, that's
so,
amazing.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture in a minute.
Yes,
so
please.
let people know where they can find you besides Latitude. I don't know if you have social media you want to throw out there, or if it's just
Oh
the
yeah,
Latitude stuff.
social media
Any of that stuff.
is Instagram at Shazam, Chizam.
Oh my God, that's so good.
That was my nickname in high school. That actually was not even related.
Well, guess what?
Serendipitous.
Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Mo. This was a lot of fun.
So now you know, if you go to Latitude 29, make sure you pop over there and say hi to Cheyenne. They have the best energy. Anytime I walk in the door and see them, I'm always just immediately at ease and even more glad to be there. So thank you so much, Cheyenne, for doing the interview with me. And again, if you all want to find them on the Instagram, it's at Shazam, Chizam. And then if you go over to the Music and Booze with Mo Spotify profile page, you can find the playlist that we put together, kind of based around the conversation we had during this show. So enjoy! Music and Booze with Mo is brought to you by The Mermaid, a cozy neighborhood bar with an aquatic flair in the Little Tokyo area of downtown LA. Open 7 days a week, featuring tropical cocktails and snacks, The Mermaid also has a daily happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. Follow The Mermaid on Instagram at TheMermaidLA to hear about upcoming events and check them out at TheMermaidLA.com. Head to 428 East 2nd Street, Los Angeles for a drink. Thank you for tuning in to our barroom chats on Music and Booze with Mo. For more info about today's guest, or if you want to connect with me, check out my Facebook page, Mo Herms. Please subscribe to the podcast and feel free to tell all your friends about it. While you're there, give the show a rating and a review. It really helps to get the word out. If you want to hear the playlists our guests have curated, search She Be Mo on Spotify, SHEBMO. Find pictures of the interviewees and the cool stuff they create on the Music and Booze with Mo Instagram account. Lower your expectations and join us at the bar. Till next time, cheers.